My sister-in-law, Vanessa Grant, called me low class for the first time on a Sunday afternoon. It wasn't shouted. It wasn't dramatic. It was said softly, casually, like an observation. The kind that cuts deeper than yelling ever could. We were sitting at my in-laws' house in Westfield Heights, the kind of neighborhood where the lawns were trimmed by landscapers, not owners, and every driveway had at least one luxury car quietly whispering money. I was seated at the far end of the dining table, not because anyone told me to sit there, but because no one made space. Vanessa sat at the center, legs crossed, champagne flute in hand, wearing a cream blazer so perfectly tailored it probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her hair fell in effortless waves, her diamond earrings catching the light every time she turned her head. She was glowing. New job, new title, new arrogance. "So," she said, eyes flicking toward me without fully turning her head, "what is it that you do again?" The table went quiet. My husband, Marcus, shifted in his chair. "I work in operations," I said calmly. "Corporate operations." Vanessa smiled. That smile. "Oh," she said slowly. "So, admin?" I felt the familiar tightening in my chest, the one I'd learned to breathe through years ago. "Something like that," I replied. She took a sip of champagne. "Makes sense," she said. "I just feel like some people are born into Polish, and others." She paused, eyes sweeping over my simple dress, my flats, my unbranded bag resting by my feet. "Just aren't." My mother-in-law chuckled nervously. Marcus cleared his throat. "Vanessa, I'm not being rude," Vanessa interrupted sweetly. "It's just an observation. You know, class shows, in taste, in presence." Then she looked directly at me. "Some people are low class by nature. Nothing wrong with it, but let's not pretend otherwise." Low class. The word hung in the air like smoke. No one defended me, not one person. I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because I had learned long ago that silence makes people underestimate you. And underestimation is a powerful weapon. What Vanessa didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I hadn't come to that dinner to be polite. I had come because the board meeting was tomorrow morning, and so was the CEO announcement. And for the first time in my life, I was going to stop hiding. I married Marcus 7 years earlier. Back when he was still figuring things out. Back when his family barely tolerated me. I wasn't flashy. I didn't brag. I didn't perform wealth. I believed in quiet growth. While Vanessa bounced from marketing job to marketing job, collecting titles and LinkedIn praise, I stayed behind the scenes. I built systems. I fixed failing departments. I cleaned up messes executives didn't even know existed. And every time a company recovered, someone else took the credit. Because I let them. Because power doesn't announce itself. It waits. Vanessa leaned back in her chair. "Marcus," she said brightly, "you must be exhausted carrying all the ambition in this marriage." My husband laughed awkwardly. "I mean," she continued, "I just don't see how someone with her background fits into executive circles. No offense." She raised her glass toward me. Cheers to knowing your place. I looked down at my hands, then back up, and smiled again. Because tomorrow morning, I was going to walk into a room where Vanessa would be standing, not as family, but as an employee. That night, as Marcus slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed softly. One message, from the board chair. Everything is set. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Are you ready? I typed back, more than ready. Vanessa had no idea. She thought I was low class. Tomorrow, she would learn what real power looks like. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. Not because I was nervous, but because my body had learned the rhythm of restraint. Marcus was still asleep beside me, one arm flung across the bed like he owned the space, like he owned me. His breathing was slow, steady, untroubled. He had no idea that by the end of the day, the ground beneath his family would shift. I slipped out of bed quietly. I showered. I dressed simply. No labels, no jewelry, no makeup beyond what was necessary. Power doesn't need decoration. As I buttoned my blouse, my phone buzzed again. Board chair. Press is on standby. Legal has cleared everything. Once you walk in, there's no going back. I stared at my reflection. Calm says, straight posture, eyes steady. I typed back, I'm walking in. By noon, the family group chat was buzzing. Vanessa had posted a photo. Her standing outside a glass building downtown, one hand on her hip, the other holding a branded coffee cup. Caption, big day. Let's just say, promotions are coming. Comments flooded in. My mother-in-law. So proud of you, sweetheart. Marcus. Knew you'd crush it. Aunt Lorraine. That's what ambition looks like. Then, just for good measure, Vanessa tagged me. Vanessa. Wish you could see how real professionals move. Maybe one day. I didn't respond. Silence makes people louder. At 12:47 p.m., an email hit my inbox. Subject, executive session, mandatory attendance. I smiled. Vanessa didn't get that email. She wasn't supposed to. She was middle management, high enough to feel important, low enough to be disposable. The irony? She had been bragging for weeks about a mysterious CEO appointment happening that afternoon. She thought it was someone else, someone flashy, someone loud, someone like her. That afternoon, Marcus insisted we meet Vanessa for lunch near her office. I want you to be supportive, he said. Today matters to her. Supportive. I agreed. The restaurant was upscale but trying too hard. Gold accents, overpriced plates, servers trained to smile without warmth. Vanessa arrived late. Of course she did. She slid into the booth across from me, eyes flicking over my outfit with open judgment. You know, she said, scanning the menu without looking up. This place has a dress code. I smiled. I was let in. Marcus laughed. Vanessa didn't. So, she continued, after today, things are going to change. New leadership, new standards. She finally looked at me. Some people are going to need to adjust expectations. Marcus nodded. Vanessa's on track for something big. I folded my napkin slowly. That's exciting, I said. She leaned in. Just so we're clear, she said softly, this isn't a space for charity cases. Corporate doesn't reward loyalty. It rewards polish. Low class. again. She reached for her glass. I'd hate for you to embarrass Marcus by pretending you belong in rooms you don't. Marcus didn't stop her. He never did. Halfway through lunch, my phone rang. Unknown number. I excused myself and stepped outside. Ms. Carter? A voice asked. Yes. This is security at Grant and Howe Tower. We've been informed you'll be arriving shortly. The executive elevator is reserved. I glanced through the glass window. Vanessa was laughing now, animated, confident. I'll be there in 10, I said. When I returned, Vanessa was mid-sentence. And honestly, some people marry up, but never really arrive, you know? She paused when she saw my expression. What? She asked. I need to leave, I said calmly. She smirked. Of course you do. Marcus frowned. Everything okay? Perfect, I replied, standing. Enjoy your afternoon. Vanessa lifted her glass. Good luck, she said, sweet as poison. You'll need it. I didn't rush. I walked 3 blocks. Each step steady. Each breath controlled. The building loomed ahead, glass and steel, reflecting the sky like it owned it. At the entrance, security didn't ask my name. They already knew it. Welcome, Ms. Carter, the guard said, stepping aside. The executive elevator doors slid open. Inside, mirrored walls reflected a woman Vanessa had never bothered to see. Not low class, not invisible, just quiet. The doors closed, and as the elevator began its ascent, my phone buzzed one last time. A text from Vanessa. Don't forget where you came from. I smiled, because in 5 minutes, she was going to learn where I was going. The executive elevator didn't make a sound as it climbed. No music, no announcements, just silence and motion. I watched the numbers light up one by one, 12, 18, 27, 34. Each floor represented a version of myself I had outgrown. The woman who apologized for existing. The woman who dressed down so others wouldn't feel threatened. The woman who let louder people take credit because she believed patience would be rewarded quietly. Today, patience would be rewarded publicly. The elevator slowed. Floor 42, executive level. The doors opened. The executive floor was nothing like the rest of the building. No cubicles, no chatter. No motivational posters. Just polished marble floors, muted lighting, and people who moved with purpose. A woman in a charcoal suit approached immediately. Ms. Carter, she said with a respectful nod. The board is assembled. They're waiting for you. Not if you're ready. Not can I help you. They were waiting. I handed her my phone. Hold this, I said calmly. No interruptions. She nodded like this wasn't unusual. Because for people like me, it wasn't. The boardroom doors were already open. 12 people sat around the table. Men and women with reputations that filled business magazines. People who controlled budgets larger than some countries' GDPs. Every conversation stopped the moment I stepped inside. The board chair, Eleanor Price, silver-haired, razor-sharp, stood first. Good afternoon, she said. Shall we begin? I took my seat at the head of the table. My seat. Folders were opened, tablets lit up. A screen at the far end of the room displayed one line. Confidential. CEO appointment. Eleanor looked around the table. For the record, she said, this session is closed. Phones off. No leaks. Everyone complied immediately. Vanessa was running late. She always was. She burst onto the executive floor 10 minutes later, heels clicking, breath slightly rushed, confidence still intact. She had assumed, wrongly, that today was about her. She had told everyone she was being considered. She had even bought a new blazer for the occasion. When she reached the reception desk, she smiled brightly. I'm here for the executive session, she said. Vanessa Grant? The receptionist blinked. I'm sorry, she said politely. You're not on the list. Vanessa laughed. Oh, there must be a mistake. The receptionist didn't laugh back. She checked again. No mistake, Ms. Grant. This meeting is by invitation only. Vanessa's smile faltered. I work here, she snapped. I'm family. The receptionist tilted her head. This is not a family meeting. Vanessa felt heat crawl up her neck. I was told, she started. Just then, the boardroom doors opened, and Eleanor Price stepped out. Vanessa straightened instantly. Miss Price, she said eagerly. I'm Vanessa Grant, marketing strategy. Eleanor looked at her, blankly. Yes? She said. Vanessa gestured toward the boardroom. I believe I'm expected inside. Eleanor's expression didn't change. No, she said calmly. You're not. Vanessa froze. But the CEO announcement, Eleanor interrupted gently, is already underway. Vanessa swallowed. Oh, she said, trying to recover. I understand. I'll just wait. Eleanor studied her for a moment, then said something that landed like a slap. You should. And walked away. Back in the boardroom, Eleanor cleared her throat. As of today, she said, this company requires leadership that understands systems, ethics, and quiet execution. She turned toward me. Ms. Carter has served this organization anonymously for 6 years. Murmurs rippled through the room. She stabilized 3 failing divisions. She redesigned our compliance framework. She personally negotiated the merger that saved this company from collapse. I said nothing. Let the facts speak. Eleanor continued. She asked for no recognition, no title, no spotlight. She paused. That ends today. The screen behind us changed. Appointment confirmed. Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Carter. Applause filled the room. Measured, respectful, powerful. I stood. Thank you, I said simply. I won't waste your time. Vanessa was still waiting. She saw the applause through the glass walls, saw executives standing, saw smiles. She leaned toward the receptionist. What's happening? She whispered. The receptionist didn't answer. Then, the boardroom doors opened again, and I stepped out. Vanessa turned. Our eyes met. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Vanessa didn't speak at first. She just stared. At me. At the woman she had dismissed, mocked, labeled low class. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed again, like her brain was buffering, trying to catch up with reality. The applause inside the boardroom was still fading when I stepped fully into the executive corridor. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply existed. And that alone was enough to shatter her. "Why are you in there?" Vanessa finally asked. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't confident. It was thin. I turned to face her slowly. Around us, assistants pretended not to listen. Executives pretended not to watch. But everyone was paying attention. "I work here," I said calmly. Vanessa laughed, a short, brittle sound. "No, you don't," she said. "You're admin, operations, you—" I tilted my head. "I'm the CEO." Silence. Not just between us, but across the entire floor. Vanessa blinked. Once, twice. Then she shook her head. "No," she said. "That's not funny." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Eleanor Price stepped out behind me, holding a folder. "Ms. Grant," she said, her tone professional and cold. "You'll receive an internal memo shortly." Vanessa turned to her desperately. "There's been a mistake," she said. "She's my sister-in-law. She can't. Eleanor raised a hand. "This is not a family discussion." She handed Vanessa the folder. "Your department has been under review for 6 months. Vanessa's hands trembled as she opened it, her face drained of color. Inside the folder were charts, emails, audit notes, failures, missed targets, inflated results. Vanessa whispered, "This can't be right." I spoke for the first time since declaring my title. "It is." She looked at me again. Really looked this time. Not at my clothes, not at my posture, at my eyes. "How long?" she asked quietly. "How long have you been planning this?" I shook my head. "I wasn't planning anything," I said. "I was working." That hurt her more than anger ever could. And then Marcus showed up, late, flustered, phone in hand. "What's going on?" he asked, scanning the scene. "Vanessa called me, said something about—" His eyes landed on me, then on Eleanor, then on the open boardroom doors. "Why are you here?" he asked me sharply. "This floor is restricted," Eleanor answered before I could. "Mr. Carter," she said, "your wife is the chief executive officer of this company." Marcus laughed, loudly. "Okay," he said. "Enough. This joke has gone far enough." No one laughed with him. Not a single person. He stopped smiling. "You're serious?" he said slowly. Eleanor nodded. "The appointment is official." Marcus turned back to me. His voice dropped. "You never told me." "I wasn't asked," I replied. Vanessa's eyes darted between us. "You let us think," she started. "I let you think whatever you wanted," I said. That was the moment she realized something terrifying. She hadn't been lied to. She had been ignored. Eleanor glanced at her watch. "Ms. Grant," she said. HR will escort you to your desk to collect personal belongings. Vanessa stiffened. What? She snapped. You can't do that. Eleanor didn't blink. You are suspended pending final review. Suspended. The word hit like a punch. Vanessa turned to Marcus. Do something, she pleaded. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. He had no power here. Never had. 2 HR representatives appeared, professional, silent. Ms. Grant, one said. This way. Vanessa looked at me one last time. Her voice cracked. You think you've won? I met her gaze steadily. I didn't come to win, I said. I came to work. She flinched. And then she was gone. The corridor slowly returned to motion. People exhaled. Whispers began. Marcus stood frozen. You humiliated my sister, he said quietly. I looked at him. No, I replied. She humiliated herself. I just stopped protecting her. He didn't respond. He couldn't. Marcus didn't follow me right away. He stood there in the corridor, frozen, watching HR escort Vanessa toward the elevators, like she was a liability instead of royalty. For the first time since I'd known him, Marcus didn't know which side of the room he belonged on, and that terrified him. I walked back into the boardroom. The doors closed softly behind me. Inside, the atmosphere had shifted. Less formal, more human. Eleanor took her seat again. You handled that well, she said. I nodded once. I didn't come here to make a scene. And yet, another board member said quietly, a necessary one was made. I took my seat. Let's continue, I said, because leadership doesn't pause for personal drama. Marcus paced the executive floor like a man searching for oxygen. He pulled out his phone and called my name. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. The receptionist glanced at him. Sir, she said politely, you'll need authorization to remain on this level. I'm her husband. He snapped. She smiled apologetically. Not my department. He stepped into the elevator just as Vanessa was being escorted out. She looked wrecked, mascara smudged, lipstick gone, confidence shattered. This is your fault, she hissed at him. Marcus didn't answer. Because for the first time, he wasn't sure it wasn't. That night, Marcus drove home alone. The house felt different, quieter, smaller, like it had finally realized who actually mattered. He sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Vanessa had laughed at me, toasted to knowing your place. My chair was empty, and suddenly that bothered him. He thought back. All the late nights I worked quietly, the calls I took outside, the meetings I never explained. He had never asked, not once, because he assumed, and assumptions are comfortable when they favor you. I arrived late, past midnight. The house lights were on. Marcus was waiting. I need to understand, he said as soon as I walked in. I set my bag down calmly. What would you like to understand? How long? He asked. How long have you been hiding this? I looked at him. I wasn't hiding. I said, you just never looked. That hurt him. I could tell. So, everything, he said slowly. Everything we have was built together, I finished. Yes. He exhaled. And Vanessa? She called me low class, I said simply, more than once. He swallowed. She didn't mean... I raised a hand. Don't, I said. Don't explain disrespect. Silence stretched between us. You embarrassed her, he said quietly. I turned to him. She embarrassed herself. I repeated, I just stopped absorbing it. Marcus sat down, hard. You could have told me, he said. I could have, I agreed, but would it have changed how you listened? He didn't answer, because he knew the truth. I won't protect her anymore, I said, or anyone who disrespects me. Marcus nodded slowly. I need time, he said. So do I replied. And for the first time in our marriage, we slept in separate rooms. Vanessa didn't go home. She went to her mother's, crying, raging, demanding answers. How could she do this to me? She screamed. Her mother tried to soothe her, but the truth was already spreading. Emails, rumors, quiet confirmations. Vanessa Grant was no longer untouchable. The next morning, the family group chat exploded. Not softly, not cautiously, explosively. My phone buzzed nonstop while I sat in my office reviewing reports. Mother-in-law. We need to talk. This has gone too far. Aunt Lorraine. You humiliated family in public. That's unacceptable. Cousin Rachel. Vanessa is devastated. She didn't deserve this. I stared at the messages. No one asked how I felt. No one apologized. No one acknowledged the insult. Just outrage that I hadn't stayed quiet. I set my phone face down. Vanessa wasn't crying anymore. She was planning. By noon, HR forwarded me an email. From Vanessa Grant. Subject: formal complaint. Abuse of authority. She accused me of conflict of interest, nepotism, retaliation, personal vendetta disguised as leadership. It was detailed, carefully worded, and completely false. Eleanor called me immediately. She's desperate, she said. She always was, I replied calmly. Vanessa forgot something. I didn't rise quietly by being careless. Every conversation, every meeting, every decision, documented. Eleanor assembled legal within the hour. Do you want us to shut this down? She asked. I thought for a moment. No, I said. Let her finish. Let people reveal themselves. That evening, Marcus told me his parents wanted a family discussion. Neutral ground. Their house. I agreed, not because I owed them, but because I was done running. I walked in alone. No briefcase, no entourage, just myself. Vanessa sat rigidly on the couch, arms crossed, eyes burning. Her mother hovered protectively beside her. Marcus stood near the fireplace, uncertain. "You've gone too far," my mother-in-law began. "This isn't how family behaves." I took a seat. "This is how leadership behaves," I said calmly. Vanessa laughed bitterly. "You enjoyed it," she snapped. "Watching me fall?" I met her gaze. "I didn't enjoy anything," I said. "I endured you." That silenced her. "You used your position to punish me," Vanessa said, "because you're insecure." "Insecure?" I repeated. She leaned forward. "You've always hated that I shine," she said, "that I don't have to hide behind spreadsheets to matter." Marcus flinched. I stood up. "I didn't hide," I said. "I built." Vanessa stood too. "You think money makes you better?" she shouted. "No," I said quietly. "Character does." I pulled out my phone, not to threaten, to clarify. "I warned HR you might file a complaint," I said. They prepared. I tapped the screen. Audio filled the room. Vanessa's voice, laughing, calling me low class, saying I didn't belong, mocking my clothes, my background. The room went silent. Her mother stared at her. Marcus closed his eyes. "You recorded me?" Vanessa whispered. "No," I replied. "You recorded yourself in a workplace hallway on company property." She stumbled back. "That's illegal." "It's policy," I interrupted, "which you signed." Vanessa looked around wildly. "This is a setup." "No," I said calmly. "This is accountability." My mother-in-law sank into her chair. "This could have been handled privately," she murmured. I nodded. "It could have," I said, "if I had been treated privately, with respect." Vanessa's voice cracked. "You ruined my life." I looked at her. "No," I said. "You gambled it." Marcus finally spoke. "You need to apologize," he said to Vanessa. She stared at him like he'd betrayed her. "To her?" she spat. He didn't flinch. "Yes." Vanessa laughed hysterically. "This family is dead to me," she screamed. She grabbed her bag and stormed out. The door slammed. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Marcus looked at me. "You didn't have to destroy her." I met his eyes steadily. "I didn't destroy her," I said. "I stopped protecting her." Vanessa didn't go home after slamming that door. No. Vanessa went somewhere worse. She went to the only place left where she still had power. People's ears. People's doubt. People who loved gossip more than truth. The next morning, the building felt different. Not loud. Not obvious. But tight. Like a room that just heard bad news and doesn't know who to blame. When I stepped out of the elevator, conversations stopped mid-sentence. Laptops shut. Heads dipped. Eyes followed me like I was a headline walking. Eleanor met me near the corridor, her face unreadable. "She's spreading something," she said quietly. I didn't even ask who. "What did she say?" I asked. Eleanor's jaw tightened. "She's telling people you slept your way into the company." For a second, the air felt too cold. Not because I cared what strangers believed, but because I knew what that lie was designed to do. Not to hurt me emotionally, to destroy my legitimacy, to poison the board, to make the company doubt the woman standing at the top. Vanessa wasn't just attacking my reputation. She was attacking the idea that I earned anything. By noon, HR forwarded another document. Vanessa had brought in a witness, a contractor from years ago, a man claiming he saw me with executives, claiming I was always in private meetings, claiming I wasn't qualified. It was disgusting, and what made it worse was how carefully it was written, not emotional, not dramatic, strategic, legal sounding, the kind of lie people repeat because it feels believable. Eleanor looked at me across my office desk. "Do you want me to end this today?" she asked. I leaned back calmly. "No," I said. "Why not?" Because I understood something Vanessa didn't. If you fight mud, you look dirty. But if you pull back the curtain, the mud lands on the person throwing it. So I said the most dangerous thing a calm person can say. Let her talk. At 2:13 p.m., security called. "There's a situation in the lobby." I already knew, because Vanessa couldn't stand being ignored. She needed an audience. She needed drama. She needed a stage. I walked down with Eleanor and 2 senior compliance officers. The lobby was packed. Employees, visitors, a few clients waiting near reception, and right in the center, Vanessa, standing like a protester, phone in her hand, live streaming, tears on demand, voice shaking like she was the victim in a movie. "There she is!" Vanessa cried out loudly, pointing at me. "The woman who pretends she's humble, but she's actually a snake." People gasped. Phones started lifting. You could feel it, the collective hunger of people watching a scandal unfold in real time. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. "She acts like she's some hard-working woman, but she used her connections to steal this position. She destroyed me because I told the truth." She looked into the camera with practiced desperation. "I'm warning you. This company is rotten at the top." Eleanor leaned in. "End it now," she whispered. I shook my head. Not yet. Vanessa wasn't done. She stepped closer, face twisted with rage. "You know what you really are?" She snapped at me. My voice stayed calm. "What?" I asked. She smiled like she'd been saving it. "You're low class," she said loudly, clearly. "You always were. You can put on suits and sit in meetings, but you can't wash the low off you." That word hit the room like a slap. Some people looked away. Some looked excited. Some looked ashamed for enjoying it. But Vanessa looked proud. like she finally won. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her back. I did something worse. I turned to the security supervisor. "Is the lobby camera recording audio?" I asked. "Yes," he said. I nodded. Then I looked at Vanessa. "Keep going," I said softly. Vanessa blinked. "What?" I tilted my head. "Say everything you feel," I said. "Don't hold back now." And because she was arrogant, and because she thought I was scared, she did. She pointed at me again. "This woman doesn't belong here. She's not one of us. She's a pretender, a fraud." Her voice rose. "And her husband, Marcus, he's weak. He let her embarrass me because he's scared of her." Marcus. In that moment, she didn't just cross a line. She ran over it. The elevator doors opened. Marcus stepped out. He had that look on his face, the look of someone who didn't believe what he heard until he heard it. He walked forward slowly. Vanessa turned and froze when she saw him. For a split second, her face softened, as if she thought, "Good, he'll defend me." But Marcus didn't look at her with love. He looked at her with disappointment. "Vanessa," he said quietly, "stop." Vanessa's voice cracked. "You see?" she cried to the crowd. "He's controlled. He's brainwashed." Marcus took one step forward. "No," he said, "you're exposed." Vanessa stared. "What are you talking about?" Eleanor stepped forward. "Ms. Grant," she said evenly, "you are currently violating company policy by filming and broadcasting on private property without consent." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "I don't care." Eleanor nodded. "Good," she said, "because you've also just committed defamation. On record." Vanessa's smile faltered, but she tried one last punch. "She can't do anything to me. She thinks she's a queen because she sits in CEO meetings." And that's when I spoke again. Low, calm, deadly. "Vanessa," I said, "you don't understand the meeting." She narrowed her eyes. "What meeting?" I took one step closer. "The meeting you're insulting," I said, "wasn't a regular meeting." I paused. Then I delivered the sentence that drained the color from her face. "It was the ownership meeting." Vanessa's mouth opened. No sound came out. Eleanor added, clean and sharp, "Because Chairwoman Noor was formally ratified by the board yesterday. She is not in the meeting, Vanessa. She is the meeting." Vanessa's knees actually looked weak. The phone in her hand trembled. People in the lobby started whispering louder. "Wait, Chairwoman? She's the owner? No way." Vanessa swallowed hard. "You're lying," she whispered. I didn't argue. I simply nodded toward the large digital display behind reception. The one that cycles corporate announcements. The screen changed. "New board update. Please welcome our new chairwoman, Noor A." Vanessa turned. "Read it." And in that moment, everything she built her ego on collapsed. She tried to smile like she could still save it, but her lips wouldn't cooperate. Because her brain finally understood. She didn't insult some random low-class in-law. She insulted the person who could end her career with one signature. The lobby was silent. Not awkward silence. Not polite silence. The kind of silence where people stop breathing because they know something irreversible is about to happen. Vanessa stared at the screen again, then at me, then at Marcus. Her phone was still live. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands were watching in real time. And that's when she realized something terrifying. She couldn't rage anymore. She couldn't attack. She had to switch tactics. Vanessa straightened her posture, wiped her face, lowered her voice. She turned the camera slightly so she looked composed, injured, but dignified. And then she smiled. A small, trembling smile. I didn't know, she said softly. The crowd leaned in. I was emotional. I was hurt. I spoke out of pain. She looked at me. Noor, Chairwoman Noor. She corrected herself too quickly. I'm sorry if my words came out harsh. If. That word sat heavy. Then she added the poison. I just come from a different background, where people are more direct, less polished. There it was, the insult wrapped in perfume. I didn't respond yet. Vanessa kept going. You have to understand, she said, voice shaking just enough. I've worked my whole life to belong in rooms like this. Sometimes when someone rises so fast, it can feel unfair. Unfair. She glanced at the audience. I'm sure Noor understands. She seems like someone who appreciates forgiveness. The audacity was breathtaking. She wasn't apologizing. She was reframing, making herself the victim, painting my success as suspicious. Marcus stepped forward. His voice was calm, but it carried. You're not sorry, he said. Vanessa looked at him like she'd been slapped. What? You're scared, Marcus continued, and you should be. Vanessa scoffed lightly, still trying to perform. Marcus, please, don't do this here. He shook his head. No, this ends here. He turned to the people watching. For years, he said, this woman insulted my wife behind her back, in private, at family gatherings, in jokes. Vanessa's face tightened. She called her low class long before today. Gasps rippled through the crowd. And now that she knows who Noor is, Marcus said, she wants forgiveness without accountability. Vanessa snapped. You're choosing her over blood? Marcus didn't hesitate. I'm choosing truth. Vanessa's mask cracked. Just for a second. Her eyes flashed with resentment. Then she said the one thing she couldn't take back. I didn't think someone like her would actually own this place. Her words echoed like a gunshot. I finally stepped forward, close enough that only she could hear me. But I spoke clearly, slowly. Vanessa, I said, your apology failed because you don't regret what you said. I paused. You regret that you said it to someone powerful. Her lips parted. I turned slightly so everyone could hear. Let me make something clear. The room leaned in. I didn't become chairwoman because I was lucky. I took another step. I didn't rise because of connections. Another step. I rose because I stayed silent while people like you talked. Vanessa looked like she might cry, but I wasn't done. I turned to Eleanor. Please read the report. Eleanor opened her tablet. Effective immediately, she said, voice firm. Vanessa Grant is barred from this building pending investigation into harassment, defamation, and breach of conduct. Vanessa's head snapped up. What? You can't! Eleanor continued. Additionally, all vendor contracts associated with Miss Grant are suspended. Vanessa's phone slipped from her hand, clattered on the marble floor. The live stream didn't end. People watching heard everything. Vanessa's voice dropped to a whisper. You're ruining my life. I looked at her. No, I said evenly. You built this, brick by brick. I'm just removing the curtain. She reached for me, not aggressively, desperately. Please, she whispered. Let's talk privately. I looked at her hand, then at her face. Then I said the sentence that finally broke her. You don't deserve my privacy. Security stepped forward. Vanessa screamed, not in anger, in panic. As she was escorted out, she shouted, You think you won? This isn't over! I watched her disappear through the glass doors. Then I turned to the lobby, to the employees, to the cameras, and said calmly, It is. The doors hadn't even finished closing behind Vanessa when Eleanor's phone buzzed. Once, twice, then again. She glanced at the screen, and for the first time since I'd met her, Eleanor's composure cracked. Not fear, recognition. She looked at me, then at Marcus, then back at her phone, and said quietly, We have a problem. The lobby was still crowded. Employees stood frozen in clusters. No one went back to their desks. No one spoke. The live stream had finally ended, but the damage was already permanent. Eleanor stepped closer to me. Chairwoman, she said, lowering her voice. Compliance just flagged something. I raised an eyebrow. Vanessa? Eleanor nodded. Not today. Before today. Marcus leaned in. What kind of before? Eleanor swallowed. The kind that ruins careers. We moved to the executive conference room. Glass walls, white marble table, the room where decisions erased companies. Eleanor connected her tablet to the screen. A folder appeared. Internal, confidential, compliance review. She hesitated. This file was hidden, she said, buried under archived vendor logs. Someone tried to make sure it never surfaced. I crossed my arms. Show me. The first slide appeared. Harassment complaint, 3 years ago. Name redacted, filed by a junior analyst. Eleanor scrolled. She reported repeated verbal abuse from Vanessa. Classist remarks, threats, career sabotage. Marcus stiffened. And? And the complaint was dismissed. I already knew the answer. By who? Eleanor didn't hesitate. Vanessa herself. She sat on the review panel. Silence fell heavy. She judged her own case? Marcus asked. Eleanor nodded. And that was just the beginning. Slide after slide appeared. Different names, different years, same manager, same tone, same outcome. 4 internal complaints, Eleanor said. All buried. I leaned forward. Why now? Eleanor's voice dropped. Because today made people brave. She tapped the screen. Since the live stream, 6 new emails came in. Former employees, vendors, 1 board advisor. Marcus frowned. What are they saying? Eleanor swallowed. They're saying Vanessa used her position to blacklist people. She opened one. I was told not to hire Noor's firm 5 years ago because Vanessa said they weren't the right image. Another. Vanessa blocked our partnership because she said the leadership didn't fit the culture. Another. She openly mocked accents, backgrounds, education. Marcus clenched his fists. She didn't just insult you, he said. She erased people. I nodded slowly. This isn't about me anymore. Eleanor met my eyes. No, it's about exposure. An emergency board session was called. No press. No guests, just power. The room filled with familiar faces. Men who'd known Vanessa for years. Women who'd defended her. Silence hung heavy. Eleanor stood. What we witnessed today, she began, was not an isolated incident. She clicked the remote. The screen lit up. The complaints, the emails, the pattern. Gasps rippled. A board member spoke. Why are we seeing this now? I answered calmly. Because today, she misjudged who she was attacking. The room shifted. Another member leaned forward. Are you saying this has been happening under our watch? Eleanor nodded. Yes. A pause, then the question no one wanted to ask. What's the liability? Eleanor exhaled. Massive. The chair cleared his throat. We need to decide. Now. Vanessa's name appeared on the screen. Motion. Immediate termination and legal action. One by one, hands rose. Not hesitant. Not conflicted. Unanimous. Marcus whispered. She's finished. I didn't respond. I was thinking about something else. As the meeting ended, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stepped into the hallway and answered. A woman's voice. Quiet. Steady. This is Maya, she said. I used to work for Vanessa. I closed the door. Yes? I saw the live stream, Maya continued, and I need to tell you something. I listened. She didn't just block people, Maya said. She destroyed them. My jaw tightened. How? She planted rumors, faked performance reviews, threatened sponsors. I closed my eyes. Why are you telling me now? Maya's voice trembled. Because I'm tired of being afraid. Maya sent the files, screenshots, audio clips, proof, not opinions, facts. When Eleanor reviewed them, she whispered, "This goes beyond HR." I nodded. "This goes public." Marcus looked at me. "You sure?" I met his gaze. She built her power in silence. I paused. "She'll lose it in daylight." Vanessa didn't sleep that night. I know this, not because she told me, but because at 6:12 a.m., my phone lit up with the first alert. Not a text, not a call. A headline. Breaking. Senior executive placed on leave after viral workplace incident. I stared at the screen. Marcus was already awake, coffee in hand, scrolling on his tablet. "They're moving fast," he said. I nodded. "They have no choice." Within minutes, the article refreshed. Names appeared. Mine, hers, and then everything changed. By 7:04 a.m., the second headline dropped. Vanessa Caldwell, named in multiple internal harassment complaints, sources say Eleanor called immediately. "They confirmed 2 former employees on record," she said. "More are lining up." I closed my eyes for a moment. Vanessa had lived her entire life controlling narratives: who was respectable, who was low class, who deserved a seat at the table. Now the table had flipped. At 7:26 a.m., she did what insecure people always do. She posted a long statement, white background, black text, carefully worded. "I am the victim of a coordinated attack. I have always upheld professional standards." Marcus laughed bitterly. "She's calling it a misunderstanding." "She always does," I replied. But then came the comments, and they weren't kind. Former interns, junior analysts, ex-assistants, people who had waited years. "You called me unpolished in front of my team. You said my accent made clients uncomfortable. You told me I should be grateful to clean conference rooms." The comment count exploded. Her statement disappeared within 30 minutes. Too late. Screenshots live forever. By noon, it wasn't just business media. It was everywhere. Morning shows, podcasts, Twitter spaces. A clip from the live stream played on loop. Her voice sharp, dismissive. "Some people are low class." They froze the frame on my face. Calm, still, unmoved. The contrast was devastating. At 1:14 p.m., Eleanor texted, "She's asking to speak with you." I didn't respond. Minutes later, Marcus looked up. "She's downstairs." I finally stood. "Good," I said. "Let her wait." When I walked into the lobby, the energy was different. Security stood alert. Employees whispered. Phones subtly lifted. Vanessa stood near the reception desk. No designer confidence. No commanding posture. Just stiffness. When she saw me, her face flickered. Anger. Fear. Calculation. She stepped forward. "We need to talk." I didn't stop walking. "Do we?" She swallowed. "You're enjoying this." I turned. Slowly. "Enjoying what?" She clenched her jaw. "You know what you're doing." I tilted my head. "I'm existing," I said. "You're the one struggling with that." Her voice dropped. They're destroying me. I met her eyes. No, I said evenly. You did that. Her composure cracked. I worked my way up, she hissed. I earned my place. So did I replied. The difference is, I didn't push others down to stand taller. People were watching now. She noticed, lowered her voice. What do you want? I smiled. Nothing. She froze. You already gave me everything. Eleanor appeared beside us. Vanessa, she said calmly, legal has finalized the terms. Vanessa turned pale. What terms? Eleanor didn't raise her voice. Termination. For cause. A pause. And the company is cooperating fully with external investigations. Vanessa staggered back. You can't do this. Eleanor looked at her. We already did. Security escorted her out, not forcefully, just firmly. The cameras caught it, her head down. No eye contact. No words. The woman who once decided who belonged, now didn't. I sat alone in my office as the sun dipped below the skyline. Marcus knocked softly. You okay? I nodded. Yes. Then I added, I just realized something. He waited. She never lost power because of me. I stood, looking out at the city. She lost it because she thought dignity was optional. Vanessa disappeared for exactly 9 days. No sightings, no statements, no leaked photos. And that silence? That was her biggest mistake. Because silence doesn't erase the past. It gives it room to speak. At 8:03 a.m., Eleanor forwarded me an email. Subject line, personal statement, request for clarification. I didn't open it right away. I already knew what it would be. People like Vanessa never apologize. They rebrand. By noon, the announcement broke. Vanessa Caldwell would be doing an exclusive sit-down interview with a sympathetic lifestyle network. Not business news, not investigative journalism. A soft couch, warm lighting, carefully chosen host. Marcus shook his head when he saw it. She's trying to become a victim. She always was, I replied. She just never thought anyone would notice. I didn't want to watch, but I did, because when someone tries to rewrite history, you listen carefully. Vanessa appeared thinner, softer clothes, muted colors, barely any makeup. The host leaned in gently. Vanessa, how are you holding up? Vanessa sighed. It's been devastating. Strike one. She continued. I never intended to hurt anyone. Strike two. This was taken out of context. Strike three. Then came the line that made my stomach go still. I've always supported women from all backgrounds. Marcus swore under his breath. That's not just a lie, he said. That's delusion. The moment the interview aired, the receipts came out. Not from me, from everyone, emails, Slack messages, performance reviews with coded language. Screenshots flooded every platform. Doesn't fit our culture. Too aggressive. Lacks polish. All signed by Vanessa Caldwell. Her words, her tone, her fingerprints everywhere. At 4:18 p.m., something unexpected happened. A former senior VP, someone above Vanessa, posted a thread. He wrote, "I stayed quiet because it was easier. I shouldn't have." Vanessa didn't just bully down, she bullied sideways and up, and leadership protected her because she delivered numbers. That changed everything. This wasn't about personality anymore. It was about systemic protection. Eleanor called me that evening. "They're reopening internal reviews," she said, "going back 10 years. I exhaled slowly. Vanessa didn't just lose her job. She was about to lose her legacy. That night, my private inbox pinged, "Unknown sender." But I knew. "You could have stopped this." I read it once, didn't reply. Another message followed. "You knew what would happen." I typed 3 words, then deleted them. Instead, I sent nothing. Silence, used correctly, is devastating. 2 days later, the network quietly pulled the interview. No explanation, no apology, just gone. Then came the final headline. Former executive's memoir, deal canceled, amid credibility concerns. Marcus looked at me. "She was writing a book?" "Of course," I said. "People like her always want the last word." Vanessa thought power was about control, about deciding who mattered, about defining class. But power is actually simpler. It's about who still stands when the noise fades. On Friday afternoon, I walked through the office. People didn't whisper anymore. They smiled. Not at me. With me. A junior analyst stopped me. "I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" I asked. "For not becoming her." That hit harder than any headline. The boardroom was silent in the way powerful rooms always are before something irreversible happens. Glass walls, city skyline, a table so polished it reflected faces like a mirror. Faces that had learned, over years, how to hide fear behind confidence. I stood just outside the door, badge clipped, tablet in hand, neutral posture. To them, I was still the low-class sister-in-law, the woman who wore simple clothes to family dinners, the one Vanessa had laughed at, the one she said didn't belong in rooms where decisions were made. Inside the room, voices drifted through the glass. "Let's get this over with," someone said. "We're already behind schedule." Vanessa laughed softly. That laugh, the same laugh she'd used at my wedding reception when she leaned over and whispered, "You married up? Don't forget your place." The same laugh she used when she told my husband's parents that I was nice, but not ambitious. The same laugh she used when she called me low class. I exhaled once, then I opened the door. Every head turned. Vanessa's smile froze, not flickered, not wavered, froze. Because this time, I wasn't standing behind anyone. I walked to the head of the table, not the side, not the corner, the head. I placed my tablet down calmly and looked around the room. "Good morning," I said. "My name is Amara Lewis." Vanessa's chair scraped against the floor as she half stood. "What is she doing here?" she snapped, already flustered. "This is a closed executive session." No one answered her, because at that exact moment, the projector behind me lit up. Lewis Strategic Holdings, majority shareholder, 51%. The room shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, but power moved. You can always feel it when it does. Vanessa turned slowly, eyes glued to the screen. "No," she whispered. That's not possible." I tapped the tablet once. Slide after slide appeared. Acquisitions, silent buyouts, voting rights, legal filings, every decision she'd thought was hers. Every vote she'd assumed she controlled. Mine. I looked directly at her. "You're right," I said calmly. "It wasn't possible. Until you underestimated the wrong woman." Her voice cracked. "This is a joke." I tilted my head slightly, the way you do when someone says something truly embarrassing. "Vanessa," I said gently, "you taught me something important." The room was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning hum. "You said class was about proximity to power." I paused, so I stopped standing near it. Another tap. The final slide appeared. "CEO, appointment vote, effective immediately." "My name, at the top." Vanessa stumbled back into her chair. One of the older board members cleared his throat. "Ms. Lewis," he said carefully, "as majority shareholder, the floor is yours." I nodded. Then I looked at Vanessa one last time. This time, without anger, without bitterness, just clarity. "You called me low class," I said. "But class isn't how loudly you speak, or how expensive your clothes are." I leaned forward slightly. "It's how you treat people when you think you're untouchable." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Security will escort Ms. Hart out," I said calmly. "And HR will provide her with the termination packet." No shouting, no gloating, no victory speech, just consequences. As Vanessa was led out, heels clicking too fast, dignity already gone, I didn't watch. I turned back to the board. "Now," I said, "let's talk about rebuilding culture." Later that evening, I stood alone in my office. Lights dimmed, city glowing. My phone buzzed, a message from my husband. "I heard what happened today." "I'm proud of you." I smiled, not because of the power, not because of the title, but because I had learned something priceless. You don't have to announce who you are. You don't have to defend your worth. And you never, ever have to prove yourself to people who benefit from underestimating you. Sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who owns it. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or talked down to, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More stories are coming, and trust me, they're just getting better.